Good morning, all. Welcome to another Mr. Businessman. I hope you are well. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do something based on the BTec spec, Unit 15, which is about careers and things like that. But it's very applicable to everyone. I just thought it's a good opportunity to, as we're going into this, a lot of people will be going into the second year. A lot of people will be finishing college. A lot of people will be, potentially finishing university. They might have a look at this, and I wanted to provide some advice, help, places to go, ways to start your research, kind of thing. Just sort of advice and help you out, really. So I thought what we'd do is, instead of doing like a normal lesson that we do every day, we'd push today's lesson to tomorrow and have a good chat about careers. I'll talk a little bit about my career, how I got into it, what I've done before. Maybe get you into the thinking. I'm going to show you a website or two, places to have a look for jobs and various things. Okay, so I hope it's helpful for you. Please, feel free to comment, email me, that kind of stuff if you need to, about this, and I will provide any help I can. But first things first, really important to get off the mark with. It's a very personal thing, a career. I think the first thing I would say, but number one tip for successfully choosing a career that you're going to be interested in, is you need to choose it. Okay, so you can't be doing it for your parents, you can't doing it for your friends, you can't doing it for people who work for you, or work with you. You can't do it for classmates. It really doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't really matter what your teacher thinks, what your parents think. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Of course, they only want the best for you and everything like that. And I definitely, deeply concerned what my parents thought of me in terms of what career I did and things like that. But for you, when you're choosing what career you want to go down, one of the most important things is that you do what you want to do. All right, and we're going to come back onto the viability of it and things like that, because I'm not talking about doing something stupid. I'm not talking about doing something crazy that has no future in. I'm talking about doing something which you can be passionate about and simultaneously make money, because money is a very important aspect of it as well, especially in this sort of economy that we have, and especially it's going to change as we move forward. So I'm going to try and be quite general with my advice, but then again, I need to bring you back to the here and now as well of post coronavirus. We're going to be the economy is going to be in bits. People are going to be struggling for jobs and things like that. And it will be a different landscape than it was to begin with. So it's important to remember that, and important to take note of it before you make any big decisions. What it would have been easy to get a job, 6 months ago, is not going to be half as easy to get a job now. Or it will be easy to get a job at a supermarket doing frontline work for now, but you can't imagine that they're going to be able to retain that workforce sort of moving forward. Okay, so we've got a PowerPoint. We're going to have a little look at it. Feel free to work along with yourself. But a lot of it today is really you thinking about what you're interested in, what you think it is. Because I know a lot of people don't know what they're interested in. I know that, and think of it as like, kind of like gold at the end of a rainbow, your career. You've worked and worked and worked and things like that. And I think a lot of the time, it's kind of like the ultimate sort of thing that we're promised, aren't we? We're promised a good career from the start of education. As soon as you start going into education, they keep saying, oh yeah, you need a good education because you're going to get a job. So people use education like a currency to be able to buy a better job. It's not always as simple as that. It doesn't guarantee anything, and that doesn't mean that people. I hear students all the time say to me, oh yeah, you don't need a degree to get a good job. No, of course you don't, but it'll improve your chances of, and it depends on what you mean by good job. That's what we're going to talk about. What do you mean by good job, I suppose? A good job for me includes things that are important to me in terms of, decent wage, job security, and something that I can not hate doing is my three three tests. So decent money. And when I say decent, is enough to allow me to live the life I want to live. Job security is important to me, that I'm going to have a contract, that I'm going to know I'm going to be able to pay my bills and things like that. And I don't absolutely hate doing my job. That's an important thing to me as well. So yeah, let's have a think about it. Yeah, I think we get out of the way first. Do you need a degree to get a good job? No, you don't need a degree to get a good job. Some people don't have degrees. Some people, have degrees who don't have good jobs. People who don't have degrees have good jobs, but I think it improves the likelihood of you being able to satisfy one of those three things, which is to be able to access higher salaries. That's all. Um, yeah, okay. Usually, those people as well. I have to say, the people who usually say that don't have stellar grades anywhere, so that they're looking for an excuse to not necessarily improve the grades or their academic ability, which everyone isn't academic. That's totally fine. But they're looking for an excuse to say, well, I'm going to be okay because you don't actually need this, trying to devalue the importance of a strong education. And that piece of paper that says a degree on it, or says A levels on it, or BTec, or whatever, or GCSEs, that piece of paper is an extremely important piece of paper, because it's that's what gives you opportunities. It won't get you the job, but it will get you the interview. They won't even see you before they do that. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's have a look at the PowerPoint. Let's go through it, and then we'll have a chat about individual things. All right. Okay, so I've got this. As I said, don't worry about, you don't have to be doing BTec, you don't have to be doing A level to enjoy Mr. Businessman, to learn things about it. So, but I thought it'd be useful to use this for now. As I said, it gives you a couple of activities to do. I'd like you to have a go at today if you can. So, first of all, write down as many potential careers you could have in business. All right, so take 1 minute, pause the stream, take a second to do it, have a go, and write as many careers as you could have in business down. In terms of business, we're talking as broad as we can. Entrepreneur, you could work in marketing, blah, 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 whatever it is. Take a minute, write it down, have a go. Okay. So I'll just wait a second for you to have a go. As I said, feel free. Please do actually do this though, rather than don't just look at me. Pause the stream, have a go. Yeah. All right. So with this one, we kind of go for a scattergun approach to begin with, just to really open our minds up to all the possibilities that we could do with our future. So far, I'm going to talk to you as if you were an A-level student. I'm going to talk to you as if you were a BTec Level 3 student. I'm going to talk to you about as if you were a graduate or someone who's leaving school. For now, you've always had decisions made for you. You've always had decisions made for you in terms of what the next step was. The government have decided that, until you're 16 to 18, you have to stay in full-time education or work. That's the last opportunity that you've got where someone's made a decision for you. And to a large extent, colleges make a decision for you, don't they, that they want you to be applying for university. And, we talk about stakeholder interest a lot of the time. And from their perspective, of course, they want you to do well. And of course, they want you to get a good education. But also, it looks good for them as well, doesn't it? Because they get challenged on where students go after college. So and so do schools. So they're going to want it to look good. So of course they want you that. But like we said, we've always got stakeholder interests at heart, haven't we? As we're business people, we understand that organisations have different things that they need to do. So yeah, write down as many as you think. And then what I want you to do is I want you to highlight sort of the first three that you wrote down. Okay. And that's just because they were the first three that came to your head. Now, it could be pure chance, or it could be the ones that you're interested in. We're going to have a think about that in a second. All right, let's go. So, did you think of any of these? First of all, marketing manager, working in marketing. We've already talked about marketing. Entrepreneur, I mentioned entrepreneur, actually being your own boss, making businesses, taking risks, that kind of stuff. Environmental consultant. Did you think of that? Probably not, unless you're really into it. So, making sure that places are environmentally friendly, making sure that you are looking at, opportunities to become better and opportunities for businesses to improve in terms of decrease their effects on the environment and things like that. Financial manager, doing lots of financial documents and things like that, dealing with the financial side of the business. And that could be anything from working on, salaries and things like that, making decisions about that, to cash flow and break even, things like that. Health service manager, IT consultant, management consultant, office manager, public affairs consultant, recruitment consultant, retail manager, secretary, accountancy. So there's quite a lot to go from, isn't there? And that's not even 0.01% of all the jobs out there. There's a hell of a lot of opportunities out there, isn't there? I think a sensible thing to do is, if you're into business, if you know a little bit about business, and hopefully you do from the channel at least now, is you can have a look at it, bits of the spec, whether it's HR or whether it's marketing, and think about what you're interested in from there. Oh, actually, I am quite creative. I do like the marketing side of things. All right, well, maybe marketing's for you then. Oh, well, I like motivation theory. Maybe it's HR that's for me. Okay, well, maybe it's HR you need to go down then. So, yeah, have a think about these different things. There's going to be considerable amounts of jobs that you will never hear about, that you will not know. There's no way that you could know about them all. So appreciate that. You need to expose yourself to all these different things, to websites, to talks, to careers fairs. Speak to the people who know more about it than you do, and accept at this point naff all about what you're going to be doing. And if you do know what you want to do, that's totally fine. But you don't know anything about the way to get there yet, because you've not experienced yet. So appreciate how little you know about this, and try and find out as much information as you can as we go. Okay. So first things first, then. So, as I said, we're talking about it from a BTec perspective, but it applies to everything. So in this unit, you'll explore career options and build a career plan supported by research, self-assessment, and realistic targets. It's really important, this one. So research, self-assessment, to know what you are doing, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you want to move into, and realistic targets. Okay, no point in doing it. Remember, SMART targets: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Setting ourselves targets. We keep talking about aims and objectives and the importance of them. There's no point of trying to do something without an aim or an objective set, because we can't measure ourselves against it, can we? If you don't set yourself a target to get a job of a certain amount of money, or get a job with a certain thing or a benefit, or whatever it is that you want to do, or working hours or whatever, you can't measure yourself against that. So don't just go into it with no idea. I'm just going to scattergun the whole thing and have no idea about what I'm doing. So practical unit is, you'll develop and refine the content of your career plan. I bet most of you don't have a career plan yet, or the ones that you do, you need to refine it, because it's really important. In the first part of the unit, you need to focus on researching your own career choices. This will require thorough analysis of job and career opportunities in your chosen field. Once this is established, you will be introduced to a number of techniques that will assist you in your planning. You will develop a range of practical skills which will underpin the self-assessment requirements of your career plan. This will include completion of a skills audit and monitoring of an ongoing development of your transferable skills. Does that make sense? You might not have heard of these phrases before, like skills audit and things like that, but don't worry if you've not. It's basically just going through and saying what skills you have, what skills you don't have, where there is opportunities for development. What do you want to move into? What kind of, training do you need? Whether it is formal training, like a degree or something like that, or whether it's in-house training on the job, off the job, whatever it is that we're talking about. All right. So, you'll need to reflect on the results of your skills audit and identify your skills gaps. Don't say you don't have anything wrong with you. It's ridiculous. I know it's hard. We all like to think of ourselves as we're infallible, and we all like to think of ourselves as we've got no skills gaps, and that we're really, really competent at what we do, whether it's being a student or being a teacher. But we do have flaws, of course we do. Whether it's our attitude to things, whether it's our, the fact that we're lazy, the fact that we find it difficult to get enthusiastic about things, whatever it is that you struggle with. But be honest about it, because there's no benefit to you of not being honest with you. If you can't appreciate the fact that you are not perfect, there are issues with you, then you can't move forward, and we can't fix them, can we? So it's a time for you to be honest with yourself, really, about what you need, what you need to. I know, for me, I know that I can come across as quite intimidating when you first meet me. And I do that on purpose now. I kind of use it to my advantage, because I know I do it. Definitely do it with students. I know a lot of my students say when they first meet me, that I come across as very intense and quite intimidating, and I know that I naturally give off kind of like this. Sometimes you'd never know, would you? You'd never know it off this, but yeah, I can do. Especially put me in a suit, put me in a situation, and I can be quite, come across as quite hard. And it's not hard. I just have a very staunch, quite specific things about what I want off people, in terms of being on time and things like that. It really, because at the end of the day, my job is to try and get people ready for the workplace, isn't it? So I'm trying to instill these things that, picking up little issues about people, whether they're late all the time or they don't come in or they can't do this or they can't do that. I'm there to try and fix that. So I've got to instill that kind of thing. So sometimes if you know things about you, if you've been told things about you, you can actually use them to your advantage if you know about them, if you think that they might be a weakness or whatever, because you could see that as a weakness, can't you? All people are intimidated by you. Well, okay, should I change my behaviour or should I try and use it against? I don't know. It's up to you at that point, isn't it? I'm sure I've not got students cowering at the sight of me, but they haven't. So so it says you'll need to look ahead and create your medium-term 5 years projections for your career plan. The unit introduces the concept of continuing professional development, that's CPD. This will give you an understanding of the process of lifelong learning and enable you to look beyond the boundaries of short-term plans. On completion of the unit, you will have developed a realistic picture of your career possibilities. Now, the point about this, which I would raise usually, is this idea of lifelong learning and things like this. So far, most of you, the thing which I hear all the time is I'm really bored of education. It's something that I'm fed up of education and I want a rest from it. So if you are in that situation now, if you're in the situation where you're making the decision about going to university or going to college or going further than that or whatever it is, not really after university because you don't really have a choice, do you? But the difference between going to college from college to university or school to college, and you're one of these people who said, oh, I've done 12 years of education, I've done 14 years of education. I'm absolutely done with it. I'm done with education. Ha ha ha. The issue that you're going to find is CPD. All right, continual professional development. And what I mean by that is the fact you can't avoid education. There's no way you can avoid it. And what you need to do, if you can, is you need to adjust your frame of mind from it being an inconvenience, which, remember, the only reason that education is an inconvenience a lot of the time for you in your life is because it's forced on you when you're very young, and it takes you away from doing the things which you want to do. Now, it's actually useful for the opposite of that. Now, education, as I said, is a currency. If you want to see it like that, I definitely see it as a currency. Education is a currency that allows me to access better jobs. So when I said those three things that are important to me, a good wage, job security, and not hating my job, I don't have to love every second, I just don't have to loathe it. Then that's what education allows me to access. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so it's really, really important at that point to understand the significance of it, the importance of education, and you're not going to be able to avoid it. And people inevitably go back to it, oh, I'll go to night school, or I'll do all these things. What you're saying is, I'd rather not be at school anymore. I'd rather go home and play on my Xbox. I'd rather be out with my mates. I'd rather do this. I'd rather do that. That's totally understandable. But the issue at this moment in time is you need to go from the frame of mind where you are bored of education, in terms of you've been doing things which you didn't want to do because you were forced to by the state, by parents, by society, and start seeing it for what it is, which is an opportunity for you to develop your skills to be able to access those jobs. I hope that makes sense. Because it takes a while for students to get that, and I know university students, regular university students who still don't get that. People who fall out of university. Why did you go to university? Because I was told to by school. Because I was told to by college. Because my parents told me to. And was it something you were particularly interested in? No. Okay. And what are you interested in? I don't know. Okay. So that's another point, isn't it? It's the second point is we need to get through that idea of doing something which you're interested in, okay, is not the most important thing. To me, it's definitely not the most important thing. As I said, it's third on my list of things that are important to me. Being able to pay my bills is the most important to me. Second is job security and being able to pay my bills consistently. And then thirdly is not hating my job. So of course you're going to want to pick a career. You're going to want to pick a job that you enjoy. You're going to want to do something that which you have the skills for and that you want to move forward with. That's totally fine. But don't be expecting something which is going to be all singing, all dancing, 24 hours a day. You're going to wake up on a Monday and click your heels as you go to work and do all these different things. It's not realistic. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has bad weeks. Everybody has bad years. Sometimes it's just the way it is. And to think you were going to have the perfect job, the perfect career, whatever it is not viable. There will be bits of your job that you don't like. There will be, there will be days that you come home and think, why am I doing this? That's totally reasonable, But and I think we need to adjust our expectations slightly. I think the lower down the pecking order in terms of the less autonomy you have, the less responsibility you have, the less. One of the biggest things people say that they don't like about the job is having a lack of autonomy, a lack of responsibility in terms of you can't make your own decisions. I speak to students all the time about part-time jobs, and they talk about the fact that they're never given opportunities to do anything, or the manager's an idiot and they tell them to do things and it's an inefficient way and they would do it differently. Well, that's one of the most important things then, isn't it? If you know that annoys you, and it annoys a lot of people if they're told to do something which they think is an inefficient way of doing things, then you need to get in a position where you have the authority to make those decisions, don't you? And then you can take the mickey out of other people if you want and tell them to do things in inefficient ways if you want. But at least you won't be, brought down by not having autonomy and having control if that's important to you. So, a nice little activity you can do to decide, maybe if you're in a position now where you have no idea what you want to do. Let's have a think about this. So it says every primary school child in the UK will be able to tell you what they want to do and what they want to be. Why? Because at this age, teachers encourage children to express their hopes and dreams and writing activities like, when I grow up, a lot of students think that, don't they? Oh, I'm not an adult yet, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but you are. I'm sorry, childhood is leaving. I know you're only 16, you're only 17. Oh, I'm only a kid. No, you're not. You need to start taking responsibility for you. Oh, I'm only 18. Oh, yeah, when do you become an adult? Or 25 or something. You feel no different. A lot of people have been in full-time jobs for a hell of a lot longer than that. People have got kids. People have been married. What are you telling that children are getting married? Are you saying that children are having full-time careers? Are you saying children have mortgages? It's not viable, is it? I know you might feel like a child because you don't feel any different than you did when you left school, but that's fine. But you need to go through the perspective of thinking things have changed, unfortunately. So, but no one asks teenagers to write about what they want to be, as if by this age we're embarrassed to have hopes and dreams. It's important to understand what you want to do. If you don't know, then we need to run through the process, don't we? Keep saying, I don't know is just a cop-out. All right, well, don't know then. That's like saying, I want to cross this road, right? There's a really, really busy motorway in front of me. They're doing 70 miles an hour, and I'm going to say to you now, right, okay, have you got a plan for crossing this road? And you say, no, I haven't got a plan. Well, you do need to cross the road. Yeah, but I haven't got a plan. Now, what people are actually saying is I don't want to talk about it because it's frightening, which is totally fine, okay? I know it's frightening. I know it's scary. But saying I don't want to do it, or rather I don't know, is the equivalent of saying I'm going to run into that... I'm going to run into the middle of that motorway now and probably get hit by numerous cars because I'm unwilling to even discuss it. And that's the difficulty. So if you say you don't know, then at this moment in time you need to start having to think about it because it is frightening. But the worst thing you can do is have complete indecision and not make any decisions. It says here are some questions to help you get thinking. Your task is to have a go at describing your perfect day at work to help you develop a long-term vision. Are you working indoors or outdoors? Do you work at home or away from home? That's a difficult question at the minute, isn't it? Who are you with? Are you leading a team, part of a team, alone? When do you start and finish? What are you wearing? What is the workspace like? All right. And these questions, although they might sound a bit broad, although they might sound a bit silly sometimes, especially like stuff like what are you wearing? Are you wearing a uniform? Do you get to wear your own clothes? Are you dressed in a suit? What is it that you're actually doing? Do you want people to look up to you? Do you want people to, do you want any responsibility over other people? And whilst we do this as well, another nice opportunity for this one, I know a lot of students say to me that they struggle. If you struggle with this one, right, you can answer these questions, but if you struggle with this one, another thing you can do is you can say, where do I want to be when I'm 35? Or where do I want to be when I'm 45? All right, so put yourself in the future a little bit. Okay, so let's say that you are 18 now, 16 to 18. Let's say you're 16 or you're 18, right? And you're making a decision about what you want to do in the future. One of the most useful techniques that my dad told me about this was think about what you want to be, or rather where you want to be in 20 years time. All right, because 20 years seems crazy to you at the minute because it's more than your whole life. And you go, oh God, like that's crazy. And they say, don't they, that years become smaller. Have you noticed that time speeds up? And it's because, well, there is actually a scientific explanation for it. And they say it's because the way that you interpret the world, the way that you experience the world actually slows down with new experiences. So if you want to enjoy the most out of your life, if you want to be getting the most out of it, it's like if you remember, if you go on holiday, those first couple of days on holiday seem really, really long, and it's like, oh, this is fantastic, this holiday is going to last forever. Because you're in a new place, there's new tastes, there's new smells, there's new environment, all these different things. And then the holiday, once you get used to stuff, once you get into a bit of a routine with what you do, even though you are on holiday, it starts to speed up again. So you need to be, if you want it to be, take the most out of a holiday or take the most out of anything is to, and slow down time is to have new experiences as much as you can. Okay, really important thing to remember that. So where do you want to be in 20 years? Now, I know you might not know, but just play with the thought exercise. So you've got, do you have a house? Are you married? Do you go on holiday? Do you have kids? Do you have a car? Do you have a dog? Whereabouts do you want to live? Is it going to be in a flat somewhere? Do you want to live in a big 4-bedroom semi-detached house or detached house, or whatever it is that is it in where do you want to live in the country? Do you want to live in this country? Do you want to live abroad? There's questions that you can start asking yourself. Do you struggle for money? Do you have a degree? Do you have professional friends? Do you still hang about with the people that you did at school, or do you have a new set of friends? Did you move to the other side of the country and get these new group of friends? Do you have a lot of respect? Do you enjoy your job? And it's these questions that you can ask yourself and start thinking, right, well, if I need to be able to do that, okay, so if I need to be able to, I want a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. I want to live in Manchester, so I'm gonna need about 180, 200, 220,000 pounds. So to earn that, or to be able to get a mortgage, I'm going to need to be earning about 30 to 35 grand a year, and that's just you. Because if you're talking about you might say, well, a combined income, because I'm not going to live by myself. I'm going to have two people, two professional incomes. Do you live? Do you work? Do you have a relationship with a professional, or do you work with someone who works in an unskilled job? And I say unskilled in the sense of what the government's definition of it, which is very, very quite a lot of different things now, isn't it? So if you can work your way back from that, then you can make some decisions about what you want to do. And I know it's easy for me to say. I don't know why it's easy for me to say, actually. I don't know why it's easy for me to say. I've done this thing. Yes, I have a house. Yes, I have a job. Yes, I have a degree. But no one gave it to me. No one just gave it to me on a platter. I had to go and get it. And I didn't make a decision. And we'll get on to me in a second. But it's important to remember, as I said, if you're not willing to work for it, then someone else will take it off you. Okay, let's go back to this. Nice little way that you can do from these things. There's just a little exercise you can do. You can physically fill it in if you want, or you can do something similar to this. But you've got the skills, your work, your future, your lifestyle, actions, your current opportunities, your interests, your strengths, your weaknesses. It's interesting to go through this and sort of, when we're talking about appraisals and talking about a 360 review, ask people what they think. Ask them what they think your weaknesses is. Or think about what your strengths are. Asking parents, asking friends is a difficult one because they will not want to insult you and they won't want to be that negative of you. But they will know that you have certain weaknesses, and you know that you have certain weaknesses, and you'll be able to say it about other people as well, and that's fine as long as they're willing to take it on. Don't just be having a go at people and things like that. Okay. So this is what I would like you to do in terms of physically creating something. So it says, do you have a current part-time job or role as a student? Do you? What are your career goals and dreams, short-term and long-term? So what are you going to do in the short term, and what do you want to do in the long term? It's really important that we differentiate those. So do you have a plan? Do you have an idea of what you do. If the answer is no, I have no idea at all, then this is what this is for. If you choose not to do anything, then you're one of the people who are going to run into the middle of that motorway. You're going to be people who are just completely blindly going out into the world, not prepared. Doesn't matter if education's there for you or not. That's not going to help, because we know, don't we, that education doesn't guarantee you a job. It just doesn't. So you don't want to be one of those people who are wildly flailing, because you're going to have a hell of a lot of competition who are very, very much dedicated to the work and dedicated to knowing what they want to do. Your big why. So why do you want to do that particular work? As I said, for me, it's about those three things. It's about a good wage, being able to pay my bills consistently, job security, and not hating my job. Okay, so what is it about you? Is it some creativity that you want to do? Is it a particular interest in it? Is it some kind of spiritual goal? Because some of you might have a moral or spiritual sort of outlet for these kinds of things. It is really important to remember that. What are your core values? So your values and you're not willing to compromise on. So in terms of flexibility or integrity. Now for me, one of the most important things for me is for my employers to understand is you don't own me, you rent my time. That's it. You don't rent my feelings, you don't rent my emotions, you don't rent my my morals. So if I am put in a situation that I don't feel comfortable with, or if they ask me to do something that I don't feel is morally right, I'm not doing it. Because you don't rent my morals, you rent my time, that's all. So I'm a person that will try and do the job to the best of my ability, but that is one of my red lines. I won't do that. If I think something's morally wrong, it's just wrong in itself, then I'm not doing it. So, and luckily there hasn't been times really as where I've felt like that in terms of that, but there has been times in my career when I felt like that, where I felt like this isn't fair or this isn't right. And that's the decision you've got to make at that point, hasn't it? The kind of person defining moments of you've got a decision to make of whether you're going to stand up and say no, or whether you're going to stand, you're going to allow whatever it is to happen. It's up to you. Limits and boundaries. What are you not willing to do, or whom are you not willing to work with, and that kind of stuff. All right. Is there anything which you're not willing to do? Because people say this, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter, I'd go and work on an oil tanker or whatever, go in the army or stuff like that. And then when they're getting shot at in a foreign country, they've said, oh no, I didn't realise it wasn't like this. I didn't realise that I might be coming home in a body bag, that kind of stuff. That is at the end of the day a job. It's potentially, you might not be coming home. And it depends on what you want for your life, doesn't it? Of what you want to make a decision. I know some people want to go in the Air Force. I know people want to do this and that, and that's totally fine. And I appreciate that. And I wouldn't want to do it, and I don't know why someone else would want to do it. Go and get shot at. Maybe it's because they feel like they're not going to get hit or something like that, or maybe like we said, they have some kind of moral or spiritual call into that kind of thing. Perhaps they do. For me, I don't like that kind of stuff. So that for me, I don't want to do any. What is one of my limits? I don't want to cause anyone any upset. I don't want to cause anyone any pain. I want to try and help. As an educator, that's what I want to try and do. I'm trying to help people as much as I can. Not just from this perspective. This is the most important thing about teaching, I think, is giving opinion, is trying to help people like this. It's not, going through what a mind, what a Boston Matrix it is. That's not my, that's important to get through an exam, but the most important thing in education, I think, is to try and develop yourself and to try and get better at it. What are your top strengths currently? So what are your GCSE grades like? Are you predicted good grades from your level 3 courses, your A-levels, your BTec? Some people have not very good GCSE grades, and then the next thing they say is, oh yeah, but blah 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 blah, or they're better than such and such a bodies. Listen, if you've not got good GCSE grades, then you failed at the first hurdle, haven't you, to an extent? That's unfortunate, but that doesn't mean that you failed completely. It means that you need to learn from your actions. Did you not do enough revision? Did you not do? I definitely didn't. I definitely didn't do revision for my GCSEs. I did all right. I got an A star, some A's, B's. I didn't get any C's in my GCSEs. I don't know what that would have counted for now in terms of grades or whatever, but they were all pretty high. But that was pure chance. I'm just naturally pretty bright and tended to listen in class and used my common sense to answer questions. I had a good technique, I don't know, but that's not how it should work, isn't it? And people know how I feel about the GCSE system and how it doesn't really make sense. People like me shouldn't have got through the system. Because you might have really worked hard. I know people who really worked hard at the GCSEs and didn't get good as grade as me. And that's not fair, is it? But what did you do? Were you in the same boat as me, but didn't do as well? Well, we need to have a word with ourselves then, don't we? If you are in the same boat as me, and think maybe we should have worked harder. We didn't really understand. We were just kids. We didn't understand the significance of GCSEs. You're asking GCSEs, you can never avoid either. You can never get away from. Even when you've got your degree, they're still going to ask about your GCSEs. You don't realise how all-encompassing they are. They're not just They're not just a way of getting into college. They're not, A levels and BTec aren't just a way of getting into university. They care about it. They want to see consistency. They want to see that you've learned, you've grown, you've got better. They don't just want to be seeing that your grades are up and down and things like that. Desired strengths. What strengths do you want to achieve and develop in the future? So what would you like to do? You see these people, don't you, who are Olympians or people who are athletes and things like that. They get up at 4 a.m. every day to go swimming and things like that. And we look at these people and think they're incredible, but these people are just determined people who know what their strengths are and know what they want to do. So they've got a pinpoint focus on what they want to do, and they're doing it. Education, investment in yourself. What are you willing to invest for yourself in the future? It's really important there. So the main question I think you need to ask yourself in this regard is, are you willing to invest time into your career? Are you willing to invest time? If you want to, everybody wants to jump to, becoming CEO, don't they? Everybody wants to jump to the 10th step rather than the first step. So are you someone who's willing to put the time in to your career in terms of getting the qualifications you need, putting the time in, doing the apprenticeship or whatever it is that you need to do, even actually bothering to watch something like this? Maybe you're doing it because you have to, maybe you've been asked to, maybe you think it's something that you should be doing, but taking the time to realise you're not 10 anymore, and very soon, sooner for some of you than others, but obviously very, very soon for all of you, you will have big decisions to make which will change your lives forever. And they're very difficult to undo, some decisions as well. So are you willing to invest more time into yourself? If you're saying, no, I'm fed up with education, I'm willing to invest in myself anymore, that's like someone saying, are you going to go and lift that weight over there, and saying, well, you need to do a bit more training in the gym, and saying, no, I've been training in the gym all year, I'm not willing to train anymore. Okay, well, don't lift the weight then. Someone else will. That's the point, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not. You don't say, "Oh no, well, I wanted to lose about 4 stone. I've lost about 3.5. I'm not investing any more in myself. I'm done now." By the time you've done that, which a lot of you have got to that stage, you're nearly there. And then for people to say, "No, I'm done," that's like saying, "No, I'm finished now." In terms of no more weight loss for me, and you think you're so close. This is ridiculous, But also to the point where if that weight loss would mean something massively detrimental to you, or that you didn't get a massive opportunity in your life because you didn't have that weight off or something like that, it confuses me sometimes. Execution strategy. So what you might do, change jobs to accomplish your plan. What kind of stuff? Are you actually in anything at this moment in time that's doing something? I know people who talk about doing YouTube channels and things like that, and then don't really do anything with them. I've seen people trying to do creative things in the past and don't do much. And I know I'm a testament to people who are lazy. I find it difficult to get self-motivated sometimes. But when I do get self-motivated sometimes about things, I get dead obsessed with them and get really into them. Hence why there's now 70 videos or something ridiculous on my YouTube channel, when it was just a thought, it was just an idea, and then I get obsessed with it and I just want to do that for ages. Hopefully it's been quite useful for you. But are you like that? Are you doing anything to actually do that? If you say you want to be a pilot, are you actually learning to be a pilot? If you say you want to work abroad, are you learning a foreign language? Are you actually doing things, or are you just saying it? Are you just speaking it? Are you actually physically doing anything? What about the ideal company? Everybody says they want to work at Google because they have slides in their office, but when you actually look at them, is it something that you actually want to do, or is it something that would be unreasonable for you to do because you think, well, I wouldn't be able to work in that office because it'd be distracting. It's hard. Students saying, oh yeah, can I work with music on? It's just a distraction. It's entertainment. What you're telling me is, I'm bored by this work. I'd like to put some entertainment on, please. Well, what I've found is, I need to turn the entertainment off, whether it's social media, whether it's music, whether it's whatever. I need to turn the entertainment off and focus on what I want to do. So is that what you're doing in your life? Are you just trying to entertain yourself? Are you just looking for quick fixes and avoiding having to think about the bigger questions? I don't know, potentially. An ideal professional self as well. Describe how you want to see yourself and be seen as professionally. Do you want to be the head of a department? Do you want to be this thing? Does a title really matter to you? And don't beat yourself up if it does. That's totally fine. Don't feel too bad about it. It's an important thing, isn't it? So, next step, as you fill out your answers to the above, no doubt other branches and levels will surface. You'll start having to think about it and take it to the nth degree. Keep going. Really, really get down to it because it's so important. Not just because there might be an assignment based on it in the future, or not because you might do something in an exam, but this is really important. Education is useless if you've not got anything to channel it towards. Remember, education is a currency in order to buy a better job, to buy opportunities, to buy experiences. And if you're not pinpoint accurate about what those experiences are, then there's no point of a lot. You're going to allot the wrong currency, aren't they? You're not going to be able to buy it. So as you fill out the answers above, no doubt other branches will surface, creating a wide web of ideas that help you get a clearer picture of not only where you want to go, but also perhaps how to get there. Use of graphics, colour and pictures also illustrate well on the mind map, isn't it? So if you've got ideas of, where you want to work, what bits of the country you want to work in, what part of lifestyle you want, the houses, the cars, whatever it is that you want. Alongside you two completed career values test that you did in the induction. If you remember right at the start of the course that we did these, I'll try and dig them out again if you can't remember them. But we talked about your core values, what's important to you. So if you haven't done it or something, just go back to that, have a think about what your core values are and things like that. Okay. So it says everyone needs to have decided on a possible career. All right. Now, in terms of this, for those of you who are physically doing an actual activity based on this, then this is what I want you to do. Okay, is you must gather information from your chosen career from a variety of sources. It's really important. Qualifications you need to follow the career, experience you need to follow the career, professional training that you must have done to follow the career, annual salary. What further training you might need to do once you actually got the job, and the information must come from a different source, at least 5 different sources. So, connections, Learning Skills Council, job centres, career service, career fairs, websites, work experience, newspapers, one-to-one people. Maybe you get some information off your parents or your friends or your guardians or whoever it is. Teachers can help. What is it that I can help with? Do you want to find some information about an industry that I've worked in? I can tell you about teaching. I can tell you about marketing. I've worked in both of them. I've worked in children's toy manufacturer. So if you need any help with stuff like that, then yeah, I can help you out with that. But the important thing is that we're getting information from a range of sources, not just, oh, well, my friend said this is fun, so I'm doing it. Because the amount of time I hear students saying that, oh, well, my friend who works at an apprenticeship and who does this, and he gets loads of money, so I'm doing that. Well, okay, don't make any decisions for yourself. I hope that you're dead successful, and I hope that it's exactly what you wanted it to be. I don't think running into that motorway blindly I wouldn't run onto a motorway that's full of cars, even if someone said, I know a secret way, and don't worry, none of those cars, even though they look like they're going to hit you, they're not going to hit you. I'd still be very wary of doing that. Some people are a lot braver than me, though, so, I don't know what to say to them people. And the second bit, he says, each source, write a detailed paragraph answering the questions below. What is the source? What has it told me? How is it useful? What have I learnt from this? What do I need to do now with this knowledge? Please print screenshots of your research to stick in it. All right, so let's just have a break now. And let's have a little think about what we've talked about, because we've talked a little bit about careers, we've talked about things, and I'm going to show you a website in a second called Prospects. I don't know if you've had a look at it before, about somewhere you can go and have a look at information. But if you are doing this as an activity, a BTec thing, then just go through it. I don't really care what kind of format it's in terms of that. Do if you want to do it a mind map, if you want to do it as a report, if you want to do the thing. But the main important thing is that do not. And this is one thing that's the make or break of this, and this is what will show a good student versus a good bad student. What you'll see people do the bare minimum. And what they're telling me at that point is, not only do I not care about education, which is totally fine, because why should you? You don't understand the value of it. Okay, I've tried to explain to you, but if you're still in that process, of course you'd rather play on your Xbox. Of course you'd rather go out with your mates. Of course you'd rather do anything else because you feel like it's being forced on you. But for those people who are doing little or no work at this point, what they're saying to me is not only do I not understand what this is for, but the opportunity that I'm being given to do it, either I'm frightened of doing it because you could be genuinely scared of actually doing this process because it would highlight to yourself those questions that have to be made, and it's frightening. It is frightening to actually have to admit that you're not a kid anymore and you're going to have to make decisions about your life, and your friends can't make them for you, and your parents can't make them for you, and your teacher can't make it for you. You've got to make that decision for yourself and live with the consequences. It's not that you can blame anyone else if you cock it up as well. It is scary, but those people who put, the bare minimum in of submit after this, 2 lines for this, 2 lines for that, all they're telling me is I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I'm too frightened to actually do it. That's not a good position to be in, is it? Is not to be frightened of actually going through the process. So a lot of people ask me, what did I do? What did I do to get into it? What did I make a decision on stuff? So I'm always try to be as honest as I can with students and things like that, because I don't think it's fair if we're claiming that we're completely different than you. We're not. We're just slightly older versions of you. So I left, as I said, I left school. I did okay at school. I probably did very well actually in terms of GCSEs and things like that. So did well in the GCSEs. Again, not through a revision or anything like that. It's not fair for me to say I did, because I didn't. I was more bothered about my girlfriend and my guitar hero at the time. And then I went on to college, not because... how did I pick the college I went to? I picked the college I went to because it was closest to my house. I didn't pick it because of anything else. I just thought it'd be good, so I went there. Didn't really enjoy college that much. It wasn't really for me. I think it was because I felt really... I really got used to high school. I felt like I was really into it. I felt like it was something that was... really important, like I was part of the thing. I was like a character in the school, like the school mascot kind of thing, and all the teachers knew me and I knew everyone and things like that. I really liked that. I really enjoyed high school. And then when I got to college, you're this fish out of water again, and the teachers are a little bit more abrasive with you and stuff like that, and you don't really get time to know people as much as you did. And at the end of the day, at 18 months time afterwards, you're gone and you're off to university and things like that, or off into a job and things. Very turbulent time in your life. So at the end of college anyway, decided to, and I still worked again. I could have done better, at college. I didn't bomb out or anything, but I definitely didn't do as well as I could have if I'd have really applied myself. I could have got 3 A's if I'd have really applied myself, and I'm disappointed that I didn't really try. I think I always just thought, well, I was in that frame of mind as well of going, oh, well, I'm not really, this is secondary to me. I didn't really understand. I thought I understood how important it was, but it should have been my main focus. It should have been my main thing. When it wasn't, it was a secondary thing to my girlfriend and Xbox at the time, because that was what my interests were. Not that they have changed very much, other than my girlfriend is now my wife and I'm still interested in Xbox. And then at the end of college, I still didn't know what to do, and I went on to university because... I didn't really know what else to do, and I thought, well, it's a good punt, at least if I can put off going into a job for a little while. I'd had part-time jobs and stuff in the meantime. I'd worked at Sainsbury's, didn't really like it, was really bored by it. It didn't stick that very long. I worked at Tempin Bowling, worked in Laser Quest for a little while, and then that shut. So I just wanted to focus on my education a little bit more. But yeah, I went to university. How did I pick the university I went to? I picked it because it was closest to my house, because I thought, well, I want to be able to live at home, because I wasn't ready to go and live by myself. These people who say, oh yeah, I'm going to go and live by myself in a massively different part of the country, that's a massive ask, and lots of people don't like it. Lots of people go out and get smashed every night. Lots of people get involved with drugs. Lots of people get involved with, all sorts of crazy stuff. I didn't really get involved with much, pretty much any of that. A little bit of drinking, but I don't drink at all usually, so it's not something that was particularly important to me. But it is something to keep in mind that even if you're saying, oh yeah, I want to go to these universities and that, from my experience, people don't really care about the university that you went to. They care about the grade. So if you've got a good grade, people who have been to better universities, they will shout about it because they feel like they're being hard done to. If you go, oh yeah, well, it's actually harder to get a first class degree from this university than that, you know who you are if you're watching. And it might be, but it doesn't matter, because no employer cares. If you go to Oxford or Cambridge, and it might matter for 5 minutes, it might get you the interview, but it won't get you anything else. It won't get you the job because you were there. It's when this thing about it's about who you know versus what you know. Yeah, it is to an extent. I'll definitely be things about opportunities, but it's about your get up and go to actually go out and get that job. Finish university, did a sandwich degree. I would definitely say do a sandwich degree. That's when you do some time on the course, then you go into industry for a little bit. Gave me an opportunity to try some stuff out, work in an office for a little bit, work for a smaller company. Enjoyed it. It was great. Got to go to Toy Fair, which was a thing. Worked in children's toys. Not something I would, I don't know anything about children's toys, but now I do because I've worked in that industry and things like that. And it was good. I did enjoy it when I was there. Finished my degree. Did really well, got a first class degree, which I'm really proud of, but not because it was given to me, but because I was really high. I'd really become focused by that point on getting that really, really strong degree. And you can do it. Don't pretend, because when I went to college, when I went to university, I never thought that was me. I never thought that I could do it. You genuinely can, as long as you put the effort into it, as long as you're pinpoint accurate, and things like that. Some courses are obviously a lot harder than others to actually get them and that, so don't beat yourself up if you didn't get that. But, it is possible. Even people like me can get them. And, and then afterwards, I was deciding what I wanted to do. I still didn't know, because remember, I've been making the decisions based on not really knowing. Got to the end of university thinking I was going to work for a big employer in the area, and then I just didn't. I think it was since I worked at that company, I didn't really want to work in an office, so that was a big decision for me. I always thought I would like work in an office and all these different things and things like that, and then it just wasn't that most important to me. When I tried it, it wasn't that really important to me. So I remember going to speak to one of my tutors, and they said, "Well, what about teaching?" And I was thinking, oh, teachers, those who can't do teach, ha ha ha, yeah, blah blah blah. And then I started looking into it, and I was thinking, well, I do like performing, as you can tell. I like being on stage, I'm in a band anyway and that kind of stuff. Well, I suppose it's like performance, isn't it? But, I don't know anything about that. I'm not that good at business, I couldn't know that kind of stuff. And then I just decided, well, you know what? I haven't really got anything else to do, so I've got to go, I'll do my teacher training, I'll go on the course, it's funded and stuff, so get student loans again. And then go with that. And then, went with that, went all right. And, it went from strength to strength, really, And I've been doing that ever since. I've been doing teaching ever since, since I left university. Will I stay in teaching forever? Probably not. Will I go for something else? But at this moment in time, does teaching afford me the three things which I'm passionate about, which is being able to pay my bills, in the future, and I don't hate my job. I like my job. I do get to come into contact with a range of people. Some of the best people I've ever met have been students. Really, really interesting people, and I hope to see them, and to have just a little bit of a part of their success. What I like about teaching, though, and something which I didn't realise was important to me, but I did realise when I started doing the skills audit thing, was I'm part of your story. And that's important to me, because I could work for a company and make millions of pounds, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean for me, but I could make millions of pounds for another company. Anyone could do that. But this is my own brand of it, like in terms of this, for people who are watching this, people who are in my class, people who are not. Okay, I might not be a massive part of your life, but ultimately, when you think back to your college days, you might think, oh yeah, we had Mr. Businessman, we had, do you remember that teacher? Yeah, he used to do this, ha ha ha, yeah, do you remember when he did that? And that's important to me, because I think, well, what a nice thing that is, to be part of someone's story like that. What an opportunity. And all right, yeah, there are negative things to all jobs. There are negative things to my jobs. There has been times when you want to, scream and shout at a student because of the way they're acting and things like that. But ultimately, most of it's good. Well, a job's a job, innit? So it's important. So I don't want to get, and that's where I'm currently at. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I might decision, go up the ranks or not. I don't even know if I want to. So it's an interesting one, but don't think your teachers, your parents, your guardians, your friends know any more than you in that regard. We're a little bit more experienced, and we've had experience of that. But the main important thing I'd say is the education route. The education thing is really important, because you're going to be competing with people who are more qualified than you. They might have better GCSEs than you. They might have a better degree than you. They might have more connections than you. How are you going to, give yourself a level playing field here? If you choose not to, then yeah, okay, it's going to be quite difficult to take it on, though, isn't it? And to actually think. So I'm going to show you anyway. Here is a website. This is called Prospects. If you want to have a little look at this, As jobs, it has work experience, graduate jobs. But what I do like about it is these job profiles. And what it does on the job profiles is you can talk by sector. Let's have a look by letter. Let's just pick one. Everyone says airline pilot. Let's pick that. Okay. So, and then it'll tell you about the job. Tell you all about it. Pilot training is expensive and highly competitive, but with the demand for pilots set to increase, you could enjoy a career of full responsibility while travelling the world. As an airline pilot, you'll fly passengers or cargo on long or short haul flights. For leisure, business, or commercial purposes, the aircraft is typically operated by two pilots, one of the captain, who's pilot in command, other one will be supporting the first officer. Pilots usually take turns in flying the planes to avoid fatigue, with one operating the controls, with the other one speaks to air traffic control and completes the paperwork. In some instances, such as long-haul flights, there may be 3 or 4 pilots on board to make sure that they can take the necessary breaks and things like that. The captain has overall responsibility for the safe and efficient operation of the aircraft. So it says responsibilities then, make sure the information is en route, whether the passengers and aircraft is received. Use the information to create a flight plan, which details the altitude and flight. You know, this is interesting, isn't it? This is the kind of things that you might be doing. These people who are so childish that they can't even think about the career are the same people who are telling me that they're going to be a pilot. They're going to be responsible for, 250 people flying 3,000 miles. It's really important that we don't, that these people, get it into their heads, isn't it? Ensure noise regulation and follow during takeoff and landing. Salary for newly qualified first officers working for small operations can be around 24 grand. Starting salaries for larger companies can reach 28. Starting salary for a captain might be 57 to 78. Those employed by major operators can earn 97 to more than 140,000 pound. Now, another thing as well is an important thing to say about is wage. Do not chase the money all the time. I know that I've said that it's important, and of course you're going to want to chase it. Of course you're going to want to make some money, but don't put it in front of the other things. That's why it's so important to establish what those core values are and things like that, because the money won't sustain you, very quickly. You remember, if you think about it from this perspective, right? If you've got a part-time job, you were dead excited when you first got paid, and you might be already at the minute going, oh yeah, payday. Oh yeah, I'm going to get paid on Friday. And the reason is because you don't have a lot of money at the minute. Whereas when you do have a decent amount of money, when you've got a couple of £1,000 in the bank, it's not that important payday. It doesn't. I don't dance around the room. Because it's payday. It's just another day of the month, and I don't. When if a student wants to have a fight with me in class, maybe not a fight, but a verbal sparring match, or wants to try and make me look silly, or wants to, whatever it is, I've got a bad day and they're doing something. I don't think, oh yeah, well, I'll go and have a look at my bank balance and dance around the room and think, oh yeah, everything's all magical. It doesn't work like that. The money is a side thing. So it's important, to be able to, as I said, 2 of my 3 things which I need for a job is based on the money. Of course it is, but it's also about trying to find something that you can be passionate about. I am passionate about education. I'm passionate about spending time with students. I'm passionate about, trying to develop them. I'm passionate about doing this kind of stuff. I'm passionate about performance. And that helps sustain me. But so being in a position where I am not doing any of those things wouldn't be good for me, and it would just stifle me, and I'd be depressed. I wouldn't, even if you paid me a lot of money, I still wouldn't like doing the job. So it's an important thing to remember, isn't it? So yeah, don't forget. So go on Prospects. I will link it in the description. But there's absolutely all sorts of it. Should we see what it says for teachers? Teaching assistant, tax survivor, talent agent. Oh, this could be good. I'd love to do that. Talent agents apply for expert communication, negotiation skills to represent and source work for talented people in the entertainment industry. As a talent agent, you'll secure work for fair contracts and conditions for people in the entertainment industries. For many people you represent, it will be essential to have an agent, as they'll be dependent on you for access to suitable things. You've got all these different types of people. Can you see? It's fantastic. It's just an absolutely brilliant resource to be able to use this. Okay. So, ladies and gents, if you are here because of BTec, I hope you know how to do your assignment now more effectively. If you are here because of A-level, then I hope that's helped you. And I would genuinely go through the process yourself, do the assignment yourself, go through it, do the mind map, go through it. You know, don't pretend and go, oh yeah, well, I'll just stop this video now and get on with my life and never think about it. If you are someone who already has an idea about what they want to do with their career, you know, don't forget, have a look at this, have a look at all the different things that are available to you. It's really, really a useful bit of information. And there's all sorts of other information on the website about graduate careers and things like that. It's more aimed at people who are in university than it is people at college, but it still counts, doesn't it? Speak to parents, speak to teachers, speak to other people, and get an idea in your mind about what you want to be doing in the next couple of years, because it's going to be so important. And the worst thing you can do is bury your head in the sand at the minute. Now, I said right at the start that one of the things which we haven't really talked about is the impact that this coronavirus thing is going to have on the economy. If you're watching this in the future, you will have more information on this than I do, but it is going to impact on it. Apprenticeships, things like that, are going to be a hell of a lot harder to get in the next couple of years, because companies are going to be struggling. Lots of companies are going to fail very quickly. Lots of companies have failed. Lots of people are going to be out of work. People who have better GCSEs than you, people who have years and years of experience, people who've got degrees who are going up against you who hasn't. You're going to who've got A-levels if you haven't. They've got BTecs that you haven't. And it's important to remember, if you are in education at the minute, hold on to that education. Take an opportunity to actually, you know, believe in yourself, actually do the work. It's not just blind belief, but it's part of it. It's going and putting the time in and the effort to actually get the work done. If you need anything else, you know where I am. You've got the comments, you've got my email in terms of this. If you want to get in contact with me about anything else, if I can help you out, check the Prospects website. I hope it's been useful for you. I will see you tomorrow. We will be back on it. Peace.